Welcome to episode 274 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Laws Guy. Today marks 9 months since I started the podcast. I hope you're enjoying it. And if you've listened to all episodes, and I know that some of you have, and I'm looking at you, Nick, you've gotten more than 50 hours of soccer history. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for your continued support and encouragement. It's August 1st, 1943, Parque Oblatos, Guadalajara against Club América. It's Copa México, and for the first time in official competition, these two clubs meet. Guadalajara win 1-0. That's the score, but not yet the meaning, because this is not yet El Súper Clásico, not yet Mexico's national football argument, not yet Chivas against America as identity, class, capital, television, nationality, and pride. On this day, it is just the first official match. The rivalry comes later, but it starts here. And how did it get here? Start with Mexican football before professionalism. The game arrives through British industrial and expatriate networks, mining towns, railways, schools, and clubs. In 1902, Mexico has one of the first organized championships with clubs like Orizaba, Pachuca, and Reforma. The sport is still local, amateur, elite in places, foreign influenced in places, and unevenly organized. But it spreads. And then come the organizers. The Mexican Federation is founded in 1927, replacing earlier structures with Humberto Grasa Ramos as its first president. Mexico affiliates to FIFA in 1929. The national team has already begun forming its own identity, first in the early 20s, then at the 1928 Olympics, and then at the first World Cup in 1930. But domestically, Mexican football is still not one clean national professional league. It is regional. Mexico City has its league. Guadalajara has its football world. Veracruz, Asturias, Atlante, Necaxa, Atlas, Marte, Moctezuma, different centers, different traditions. So for many years, America and Guadalajara can both exist without yet becoming a national rivalry. Now the clubs. Club América is founded in Mexico City in 1916. Students: Rafael Haza Gutierrez, Record, Germán Cortina. The name America is chosen because the club is founded on October 12, the same day Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492, the Día del Descubrimiento de América. So America enters the capital's football structure soon after and becomes one of the great early Mexican clubs. It also becomes tied to the national team story because Raza is not only an American founder and player, he becomes one of Mexico's early football leaders. Guadalajara is older. Founded in 1906 by Edgar Everett and others as Club Unión. In 1908, it becomes Club Deportivo Guadalajara. Over time, it takes on the identity that defines it forever. Guadalajara, Jalisco, red and white stripes, and eventually the all-Mexican player tradition. And that tradition becomes essential, because Chivas is not only a club, it is an argument. Mexican football can be built with Mexican players. And that will matter enormously once America becomes the opposite pole. By the early 1940s, Mexican football is changing. The old amateur and regional structures are no longer enough. The professional first division begins in 1943. That is the key institutional turn. A national professional league means the country's strongest clubs now meet regularly. And once that happens, rivalries can stop being local and become national. Before the first league season, the Copa México gives us the first official América-Guadalajara meeting. August 1st, 1943, Parque Oblatos. Guadalajara win 1-0. And the important detail is that these two clubs are not yet bitter enemies. They are pioneers in the same new national football world. The superstructure of rivalry has not yet been built. America are not yet the television empire club. Guadalajara are not yet El Campeonísimo, but the seed is in the ground. But so what? The rivalry becomes real only when both clubs become symbols, and that happens in the late 1950s. Guadalajara win their first professional league title in 1957. Then more come. Chivas become El Campeonísimo, the great Mexican dynasty, all Mexican, popular, Jalisco, the team that turns national identity into a selection policy. Then America changed too. In 1959, Emilio Azcárraga Milmo, linked to Telesistema Mexicano, buys the club. Now America are not just an old Mexico City club. They become money, media, ambition, capital, and provocation. And then Fernando Marcos lights the fuse. After America win in Guadalajara in 1959, he says in essence, America does not come to Guadalajara to win, because that is just routine. And that is the kind of sentence that can create decades. Chivas answers on the field. The newspapers lean in. The fans understand the roles. Guadalajara versus Mexico City. Mexican only versus the club that can buy stars. Popular identity versus establishment image. Chivas versus America. And now it is El Clásico Nacional. The matches acquire a memory bank. America beat Guadalajara 7-2 in 1944. Guadalajara answer with their own historic 7-0 in 1956. The rivalry is never only close games. It is humiliation, revenge, scorelines that become family arguments. And then come the finals and eliminations. The 1983 semi-final. Chivas beat America 3-0 at the Azteca. But the match explodes into a brawl, and Guadalajara a weekend for the final, which they lose to Puebla. Then the 1984 final, La Final del Siglo. America beat Guadalajara over 2 legs and win the championship. That becomes one of the great America trump cards. Later, Chivas get their own cards. Apertura 2006. Guadalajara eliminate America in the semi-final and then beat Toluca to win the title. That is what classics do. They don't just decide trophies, they deny futures. The rivalry travels. It lives in league matches, Copa matches, liguillas, friendlies in the United States, and regionally. The two clubs even meet in CONCACAF competition, most recently the 2024 Champions Cup, when America win the tie on aggregate, despite Chivas winning the second leg at the Azteca. That matters because this rivalry is no longer only Mexican territory. Millions follow it across the United States too. For Mexican and Mexican-American supporters, America Chivas can be a family line, a migration line, a weekend identity. Players and coaches move through the story. Some become icons by hurting the other side, but in this rivalry, the bigger transfer is symbolic. America sells the idea of greatness through power. Chivas sells the idea of greatness through identity. That is why this fixture still works. Not because both clubs are always at their peak. They are not. But it works because when they play, Mexico gets to argue with itself. Before we go, 3 things to take away from August 1st, 1943. First, the first official America-Guadalajara match was not yet El Súper Clásico. It was Guadalajara 1, America 0 in Copa México before the rivalry had acquired its national meaning. Second, the Clásico was built later, especially in the late 1950s, when Chivas became El Campeonísimo and America became the media-backed club of money, ambition, and provocation. Third, the rivalry endures because it is simple and deep at the same time. Guadalajara versus Mexico City, Mexican-only identity versus market power, popular pride versus establishment image. On this day in 1943, Guadalajara beat Club América 1-0. The match was small compared to what came later, but it was the first official step towards Mexico's greatest club rivalry. That is all for episode 274 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Lost Guy. Did you like this story? If so, I ask you to help OTD getting pushed in front of new people. We're almost at 400 followers of the show. Hit the subscribe button, rate the show 5 stars, or share it with your friends. Then more people can join in. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, go to August 2nd, 1952. The magical Magyars, the Olympic triumph, and the promise of one of football's greatest teams. See you then.